Welcome to the Face-to-Face Ministries podcast. I'm Kathy Little.
And I'm Melinda Wilson, and we are talking all things inner healing, true connection with Jesus, and the full benefits package of the cross. Thank you for joining us. Hey, before we dive into the content, just wanted to remind you ladies of our Dash Away weekend coming up July 10th to the 12th. This is right now 2020, July 10 to 12, 2020, but hopefully you're listening before then. But we have our beautiful, amazing retreat. After all the stuff that's going on,
we know that we need connection.
We're going to need connection, community, fellowship, healing, restoration, renewal. Yes. So please come join us and hop on our website because there is something special.
Yeah, we're running a sale right now. It's 20% off the early bird rate. And so you can claim that on our website right now. If you go to dashawayweekends.com, there's a link special for the discount. It is only until April 10th, 2020. April 10th, 2020, and the price goes back up. But right now, listen, come on, join us. We'd love to have you. And man, after this spring, what we need to
bring a friend, bring a few friends.
Bring your friends and let's hang out together and experience Jesus in fresh and new ways. So absolutely, check out our website. Now, we're going to roll into our content. So welcome to episode 56. Crazy.
56.
All right.
Welcome.
I just want to tell everybody right now, if you've not listened to 55, stop listening right now.
Warning.
Seriously, if you have not listened to our last episode, episode 55, which was a bonus episode with Mark Virkler, do not listen to this until you do. Mm-hmm. And we have a reason for that, because what you're going to hear from Dr. Mark Virkler will really help set up this interview. And if you missed that, you missed it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't normally want to tell people to stop listening to our podcast, but you can stop right now, this episode, circle back to 55, and then carry on, because it'll help you with this episode. The nature of the content will stretch some people because it may have a little bit of a fear attached to it. But we want to be holistic here to help people explore ways that God is bringing healing and freedom to people.
So you're probably sitting on the edge of your seat going, what are they talking about?
Yes.
I am so grateful for this person because she is not only a dear friend of mine of about more than 10 years, about 12 years, but she is a brilliant communicator, excellent, gifted, and anointed teacher, and even more, a God-gifted healer, and so discerning and wise and godly. And I am filled with joy. I had such a good time interviewing my dear friend, Rebecca Wineka, in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And
of Just Be Wellness.
Of Just Be Wellness. Yeah. We love her. We support her, what she's doing. And so please hold on to your hats and really just be open.
Yeah.
And you can ask the Spirit of God as you're listening, what is he saying?
Yeah.
This is good stuff, y'all. It is. Yeah.
It might
so
stretch
awesome.
some of y'all, but that's why we were really excited that Mark Virkler gave us some preliminary, foundational, helpful information to really set the stage for this interview, because we're going to be talking about energy. We're going to be talking about a more holistic approach to healing using the body's frequencies and being able to move things in our energetic fields in our body, being able to get them unstuck. There is really valid evidence and research that's scientific that's proving this stuff. And so we're really excited to introduce this concept to you. It might be brand new to some, and some of you might be like, oh, I'm so excited they're doing this. I've already believed in this, but we're excited because this is somebody who knows her stuff and communicates it brilliantly. And she is a Jesus lover. She's trained in inner healing. She's a professional counselor. She's got a master's in that. And this is a field called Specialized Kinesiology that she's pursued.
Yeah. And she's also a licensed therapist and a certified teacher. She was a teacher for many years. She has a master's in education. This girl is smart. And to also tell you, we went to church together years ago. We were part of the healing rooms in North Carolina together. I've mentioned those in other podcasts. So we were trained by the same people at the same time, mentored by the same people at the same time. And we're just so honored and thankful and privileged to introduce to you Rebecca Wineka of Just Be Wellness. We are here with my dear friend, Rebecca Wineka, and I'm a little bit biased today because I actually know you and have known you for like 10, I think it was 2008.
I think so.
So now we're in 2019, so 11 years. And
yeah.
But it's so
We've
fun.
Aged well.
I've aged well. So have you. You look younger. You're 22 now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun actually being able to sit with friends and someone that I know and not completely out of the blue. And so thank you for being here. And of course, we're in your office, so you kind of have to be here. But
It's an honor.
We're here in Black Mountain, North Carolina. That is Western North Carolina. I actually lived here for about 7 years. It is like my favorite place on earth. And if you haven't visited here, you must. And I know this is not a promo for Black Mountain, but I just, we're doing these interviews with healers. We're doing interviews with people who have pioneered inner healing models and modalities, and you are a healer. But before we even get into that, I would like you just to introduce yourself to our audience listening and watching. Who is Rebecca Wineka, and who are you? What do you do? And how did you get to what you're doing? And then we'll go into more of the nitty gritty of what you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And it's an honor truly to be here and to share. When I answer the question, I think about who I am. My inclination is to say I am love, because that is, as a healer, what I bring to every session, is that ultimately for healing to happen, the practitioner has to imbibe that. And that means I've been on a long journey myself to be healed and to continue to be healed, exploring a variety of different modalities. But my journey started out in inner healing and modalities like Sozo, using some of the generational stuff that Paul Cox has brought to the world of inner healing. I became a therapist. I furthered my own healing journey just in that, and engaging in that part of my life. And then receiving traditional forms of therapy, psychotherapy, EMDR.
What's EMDR for those who don't know?
EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it's a very powerful modality that involves a bilateral stimulation of the brain in order to create new neural connections around old information that was once stuck in the system as maladaptive, or it becomes dysfunctional. And so I went through that experience myself, and then became certified to do EMDR as a psychotherapist. So I have had exposure in both the clinical mental health world and also the spiritual, psycho-emotional world through inner healing modalities, through inner healing prayer. And now what I do, which is a beautiful marriage of all of them together, is called Specialized Kinesiology in some parts of the world. Some call it bioenergetic kinesiology. And what it is, it's a modality that combines holistically the human being and de-stresses the human experience of traumas and life experiences where they're trapped in the body. And the book, The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk, he really is a pioneer in the psychotherapy world and informing us, basically healers and human beings, that all trauma is stored here in this container, in this temple. And so what makes it different, the specialized kinesiology, is that it targets stress held within the systems. It could be in the brain, it could be in an organ, it could be a neuro-emotional pathway that travels in various routes. It could be the care system, it could be a vibration that the body carries. And so it targets needles in the haystack, where the source and origin or the root of it is held within the body's biofield, and uses acupressure touch to pull that stress out very gently. And so what I found with my background is I have a degree in health and wellness and physical education. And so I spent years teaching that and developing curriculums. And then I got my master's in counseling. So I have this mental health, emotional piece. And then I, as a clinician, needed a change. I was finding myself as a psychotherapist getting tired, and my physical body wearing out and sending me very clear messages that I couldn't take in any more trauma virus stories. I couldn't take in that.
So, and let's just break that down into sort of layman's terms. Trauma stories, you're referring to the sometimes probably horror stories, or just really sad, frightening, traumatic stories that your clients would share with you. Exactly. So are you saying that it was affecting you physically?
Yes. Yeah, and I was sitting with clients day after day and families, and trying to deal with my own trauma that I had in my past by receiving therapy, EMDR namely, but also just collecting these stories. And so my body, my physical body was at a point that no matter what I did spiritually or mentally to gear up for the day or shield myself, protect myself, what have you, it wasn't enough. And so I had to step away from the field of psychotherapy for about 8 or 9 months, and my life took a complete different direction, where I was making salads down the road at the Red Radish to just get away from that type of toxicity and that type of atmosphere. And it's not the clients, it's not their fault. That's their story, and that's a sacred space. But what I've come to learn and come to understand is that every story is a particular frequency, and that frequency is that of comparable to a virus. And so for a person to continue rehearsing that story, or for me to keep collecting stories like that in my energy field and who I am as a person, my body couldn't take it anymore. It's like the cup runneth over with toxicity.
Is that what they call secondhand trauma? I mean, I've heard that.
Yeah,
term.
secondary trauma.
Secondary trauma.
Compassion fatigue. We have a variety of different names. And I was doing self-care and doing what I, could do to take care of myself, but it became overwhelming to my system. And so when this modality, specialized kinesiology, dropped into my world, God was like, this takes your different backgrounds and trainings, because I have been trained in a lot of the inner healing and spiritual modalities with the mental health, with the physical health, and put this trifecta together that I couldn't have imagined 10 years ago at all, nor would I have been ready to explore, the world of that we are energy, because God is energy.
And so that's a huge, some of your terminology, energy and frequency and vibration, these are going to be new terms to a lot of people listening. They were new to me until you and I have been having conversation over the last year or two. And some of it can sound really intimidating and scary, and even sound new agey, or what is she talking about? And so I would love you to kind of unpack that. You were saying that even when you were saying it was affecting your system, it was the vibration. Can you put that in terms that most of us that have never heard that kind of terminology would understand? Help us understand what you mean.
Yeah. So everything is energy. Everything has an energy. It's just dependent on how dense that energy form is. And so this is solid. This is a solid energy form.
And for those listening, she's just putting her hand on a table.
Yeah, that's
on a
right.
Table that's next to
that's
us.
right. The chair that we're sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything has and holds a particular frequency, and so the trees are singing right now. You know, the crickets. If you slow down their tune, it sounds like a song. Dolphins. Our DNA has a frequency. It's a song. Our very bodies right here, right now, are vibrating at a particular level. And every emotion that you experience or I experience is a particular level of hertz. And so shame resonates, you know, just above death. And, you know, your higher frequency emotions are bliss, joy, love, peace. Anger is better than shame. And so we are vibrational beings. We're batteries. You know, if you had a heart attack, we would be hooking you up to do some defibrillators on you that are trying to shock and bring back the heart, because it has a frequency. It has a vibration to it that can be read on a stress test or an EKG. Or so everything right now in this entire world is vibrating at a particular level, whether that is an emotion or that is a rock. Even rocks have a song and will sing and cry out, and we know that. And so it's a matter of our understanding. Understanding the world of God is understanding that when he spoke, there was a vibration that came out of his mouth, and the Holy Spirit fluttered, vibrated over the waters to bring forth life. And in him and by him and through him are all things held together. Literal vibration of my being is held together by the vibration of God in me, the image of God in me. And so it's our way of, here in the West, of really relearning who we are. I find, at least I have found on my journey, is to just at its fundamental root core understand that everything in the universe is vibrating.
Why is it important that we understand that?
It's important because it's our origin. It gets us back to how beautiful God is, and that everything is singing. You know, he's listening to a symphony right now, and there's not one part of that symphony that doesn't please him. And I think personally in my own journey that to understand that everything is vibration has meant a lot and informed me a lot about the law of sowing and reaping. That I am, as a vibrational child of God, child of light, putting out into the world a vibration that is attractive to particular people, particular places that I go. There's a vibrational match. And so I have found that one of the big reasons that is so important is that it's my responsibility to be in touch with my vibration. It's my responsibility to guard this temple that's sacred, and to come into an understanding that my physical body isn't the third wheel on a tricycle clunking down the road that I don't need to pay attention to. I grew up personally in the world that I did as a Christian, and heard very little to nothing about the physical body and the importance of it, and was all about the mental, memorizing scriptures and doing due diligence of practical application to sermons or Bible studies or whatever. And it was all head. It was all head. And the physical body was really largely, just because that's what people knew at the time, shelved and not really talked about. But I'm understanding now through my own healing journey of healing my physical body that my vibrations that I carry in my body are mine to be responsible for. That's not somebody else's responsibility to fix me, heal me, wave a wand over me. I get to sit with my vibration and with great intention and participation with the Trinity, feel what I feel. Because everything that has been repressed and suppressed in my body through being trained and taught that I shouldn't feel, that that emotions will lead me astray, that my heart is desperately wicked and evil above all things and should not be trusted. We built doctrines, I believe the church largely built doctrines around particular verses that really condemned the physical body, the flesh, and being fearful of this. Well, learning about vibration has taught me that actually I need to befriend this. I need to love this body, this sacred temple, because the image of God that I'm made in, the vibration that I carry inside of me is the vibration that I'm sending out. And the vibration I'm sending out is the vibration I'm getting back. So the law of sowing and reaping expands way beyond tithing, like I was taught. Yeah. It actually expands into every facet of my life, my work, my friendships, everything.
It sounds like more than just I have a good self-image. Because, I wasn't in my denomination either, more of the main line. Well, I don't think across the body, the physical body is talked about very much. I think more recently there's been attention brought, like we should at least exercise and eat right. But which is a good place to start, obviously, but this sounds a lot deeper than just, I look in the mirror and I'm happy with being me. It's more than just having a good self-worth or self-identity. Am I hearing you right? Because I want to, again, unpack that, because I understand more of what you're saying, but a lot of people may not. So what can you share? What does it look like practically if someone's saying, okay, this sounds really cool and amazing, but how do I do this practically? How am I aware of my vibrational frequency or what I'm putting out? And even language, I would say, putting it out into the universe, and people may get like a little bit freaked out with that too. Putting it out to the world. What does it look like for me to be aware of me, to be aware of my frequency and what I'm putting out, so that I know that I'm sowing, because I want to sow positive, obviously. Who doesn't want positive stuff coming back to us? But how do I become more aware of what I'm putting out, so to speak, as far as energy or vibrations?
So it really comes down to self-awareness. It comes down to consciousness. It comes down to being able to see oneself. And the bottom line of self-awareness is being able to separate yourself from a reaction. And so the subconscious mind is patterned in the first 7 years of life, when a child is basically in a theta state in their brain. And in theta state, you're impressionable, your subconscious is picking up every vibration, every message, whether spoken or not. You've got, in the entire package of the temple, you've got genetic stress, you've got epigenetic stress, you've got your own life experience stress. And so that starts to run programs. That starts to run default reactions, patterns, whatever you want to call. I like to call them programs, because they're learned. They're just learned behaviors. They're learned patterns from your environment, from your genes, from our culture, from any subculture within the culture. And so it starts to become an automatic way of doing life, seeing life, thinking particular ways, believing, feeling. It's the entire system. And so if I have somebody who, for example, has an expectation of me, it goes straight to my gut and fear, for example, that I am not living up to their expectation. Well, if I just bought into that every time it hit my gut viscerally and I felt that knot, and I didn't have space and separation from that, I'm running a program. I'm running a pleaser program. I'm running a fear program. I'm running some sort of relational circuitry in my system, in my body's biofield, that a frequency or an experience or whatever in the present is triggering an old story. And so the brain doesn't know the difference between the past and the present. So it's just running an automatic subconscious program as though the past was flashing forward, time traveling into the present, hijacking the entire situation and me as a 44-year-old woman. And now I'm acting like I did when I was 4, when the original subconscious programming, when those railroad tracks were laid down. So the vibration, the self-awareness, the level of consciousness that a person has is the ability to stop, to recognize, I have this pit in my stomach, or I feel like somebody just punched me. Or for some people, it's in their heart. Like, I feel tension, or I'm sweating, or I have this particular reaction. I'm going to get curious about that. What's going on for me? What am I really feeling? What emotional response is being created right now by this present situation? And having the space to see oneself and to be curious and to offer love and compassion for whatever is being triggered that's out of the old, that's trying to inform the present moment. Because a lot of people will just react. They just blow up, or they'll just withdraw. They'll just, I mean, you name it, any number of things, turn to a coping mechanism of some sort in order to deal with an unprocessed, repressed, suppressed emotional experience or the original programming that's laid down. So that is the value of really understanding things in a vibrational world, that something comes and hits your gong, so to speak, and it's reverberating back into the past, capturing information or programming from that time and bringing it into the forward moment, the present moment, and taking over. And so if a person has had a particular life experience or trauma at an early age, they're running subconscious programming all around that as an adult. And I use the analogy, it's like a child, you know, driving the bus of your life that can't reach the pedals, can't look over the steering wheel, and has no business driving. So do I want that young, informed, patterned, programmed self running my life as a 44-year-old woman? No, thank you. And that requires de-stressing the distress that's trapped in the body's biofield and giving it new information. It's like updating your computer. And so if this is my life that I'm running a series, and we know this from science, is that, you know, most people are living their lives subconsciously and wondering why they're feeling stuck, wondering why things aren't changing. And it's because, you know, you can't change that level of consciousness with the same level of consciousness. You have to be at a higher vibration. You have to be at a higher level of self-awareness or consciousness to recognize the pattern response when it happens. And that takes work. And that's what I like about specialized kinesiology in particular, is that it goes straight to the needle in the haystack of where is the root and origin of this in the body's biofield, in order to de-stress it and in order to put space between a person as an adult and their old subconscious programming, in order to be able to take a new path and then allow that new path to continue to get stronger and stronger, and that new neural pathway then becomes the new pattern, and that feels better to the body. And the old, because it's stopped, you know, firing and wiring together, and neuro-emotionally or neurophysically, you have a new pathway, and that old one dies off, and you actually get to grow up. You actually get to be the age that you are, rather than reacting out of that old trauma frequency or programming that goes with it.
A lot of what you're saying sounds like inner healing. Now, the people that have been listening to podcasts or that know what inner healing is, we've already unpacked a lot of that brain science and changing our neural pathways, neuroplasticity, what releases dopamine and all of the feel-good chemicals we bond to that leads to addiction, all of that. And so how does this, what you're saying, tie in with, let's say someone, well, let me back up a little bit. You're talking about triggering. I don't know if you use that word. You were talking about living subconsciously, or you have the pit in your stomach, or your heart rate increases, all of these things where you feel triggered, and then you're reacting, and you're reacting to a situation as a 4-year-old or a 10-year-old, wherever you're stuck. And we have talked a bit about that. And I think everyone's aware that, like, I do that at these situations. Why? Oh my gosh, there's a trigger there because there's some unprocessed pain or unhealed wounds, whatever you want to call that. And then really looking at that in the context of, okay, inviting, if you're looking at traditional, if you want to say, quote unquote, traditional inner healing, connecting with Jesus, inviting him into that memory or asking him to take you to a memory. And then, oh, that's where I'm stuck. You know, when my dad said this or that to me, or he did this or that to me, this is why I'm being triggered. Jesus comes and brings a new paradigm, a new reality, brings his presence into that memory. And a lot of people find great relief from that. How does what you're saying differ or combine with that? I mean, is this something that we need to be doing in tandem with, or is it something separate? Because it sounds like they're getting the same results. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Yeah. It's, what makes specialized kinesiology different than that is that everybody's body is integral to their healing. And yes, there are similarities because you're going back in time and you're connecting with parts of self and asking Jesus, to reveal himself or whatever truth needs to be shared, what have you. This is different because it uses some philosophy and function from Chinese medicine based on the acupressure system in the body. And the acupressure touch that's used, it makes it different from acupuncture, where they're using needles, and those needles stay at certain points for amounts of time. The whole point is that the energy begins to flow. The body energy that God created is designed to heal itself and has its own innate intelligence to do that. An energy that is flowing in a healing, balanced homeostasis, a person may not get sick as often. Their body system, the energy is flowing in a state of health and well-being. Well, we're created for that. And what the kinesiology does is it uses the body's mine, basically like a gold mine, and shows where in the physical body is this stress laying in a disruptive state. And the analogy that I like to use is that of a lake. If the energy, you have things going on under the water that's keeping that in stasis, like there's a perfect balance in that biome in that lake. If you throw all kinds of stuff in that lake, it throws off, potentially, if you throw oil, if you throw boulders, it's going to change the landscape of that underwater. And those are disruptive frequencies to that lake. And that's what becomes disruptive in the human body. And those energies that were created to flow, and they get stopped up, they get jammed up. And that's where the stress is being held. And so the body then overcompensates or undercompensates the flow of energy to the other regions. But it will prioritize fight, flight. It'll prioritize survival because we're wired to survive. And so a lot of people that are reacting in the world in general are living out of the survival responses of fight, flight, freeze. And so this targets that in the physical body, in the brain, in the biofield, at whatever level there is stress related to stress related to, we could go down into the cellular level or into a system of the brain that's a neuroemotional pathway and see in relationship to feeling cared for, in relationship to feeling nurtured and loved. That's a neuroemotional pathway in the brain. Is that stress also related to neurotransmitters, neuropeptides, glial cells? Is it related to emotions? Is it related to energy centers? The 8 energy centers of the body, chakra system. Is it related to muscular pain, tendons? Is it related to a particular organ? And this modality addresses the temple, the sacredness of the temple, and its interaction with all of these frequencies and disruptions that have been tossed into the lake, so to speak, of a person's heart, and then has created this undercurrent of subconscious energy, subconscious vibration and stress, patterned programs that now dictate life, and it's not what it could be. So this is like a major cleanup. This particular modality is a major cleanup of the entire system altogether. And if a person on the table has the capacity to understand what or know, maybe an age comes up. Okay, the age of 2 is a priority right now. You don't have to know, for example, this is what I say in a session, you don't have to know what happened. Your body knows. And so you may or may not ever have any conscious awareness of what it is, but we're pulling that original stress out of the body so that the body can move forward, knowing that in this space and time, you're safe. You don't have to live in a deep survival response of fight, flight, or submission, or feeling threatened or endangered. So there are particular, acupressure points in the body that are directly related to brain chemistry. And so the power of a person's body to heal itself requires pulling that stress out of that particular stressful spot, using the acupressure touch and asking that energy to flow again as it was designed to flow. Because it's like you need Drano in your energy field to clean out that old vibration that's telling you the old story, and then therefore dictating emotions, attitudes, thoughts, beliefs, reactions, blah, blah, blah. Like it can go on and on and on.
So, okay, I'm going to bring a little bit of levity to this because this is really, some of you out there, including myself, and I've heard a lot. Becca's such an excellent teacher. Well, I call her Becca. A lot of people call her Becca. She is Rebecca Wineka. Just like, who's Becca? I thought she was Rebecca. When I first, I'll bring it to me that people, when I first heard the word chakra, not from you, years ago, it's immediately for me, in my Christian upbringing and my pretty conservative background, but also very exposed to all sorts of things, not exposed in a bad way, but just let's expand our worldview a little bit. The word chakra has a big stigma to it. Yeah. And it has taken, personally, me understanding more of what it is, breaking it down. But I think a lot of people might be wait a minute, she calls herself a Christian. And let me just assure you all, those listening, that she is very much a Jesus lover and has helped me in my own relationship with Jesus, and just absolutely is totally Jesus centered and focused. But let's demystify the word chakra. And if you could explain that in a way, and also I feel like the New Age community has stolen a lot of things. That it's God. It's just that they've taken or adopted, and I don't want to badmouth New Agers. I mean, but we kind of clump everything in this one category. Oh, she must be New Age, or she said chakra, that's New Age. Right. Let's demystify and just break that down. As a Jesus lover, Becca, what the heck is a chakra? And what does it have to do
with... It's an energy center. It's a great question, because I had the same upbringing. And so therefore language has power. Language and words are really important. Definitions are really important. The actual word chakra is just a Sanskrit word for the reality that we have these centers of energy that are measurable with really high-tech equipment that I don't own. Are you can see them. And so each energy center is literally a plexus of neurons energetically. They're mini brains, and they are vortices of spinning energy. And those energy centers can get knocked out of alignment, just like your back can get knocked out of alignment and you need to go to see a chiropractor. They can throw a person off. They can be stressed and carry stressful information in them. And so there are energy centers from the root all the way up to the top of the head to the crown. And each of them has a different function that informs different glands in the body, which the glands inform all the hormones, the neurotransmitters, all the way down into the organs. And Chinese medicine, that's also scary to a lot of Christians that have gone along with the great divide between the East and the West and cast the baby out with the bathwater when, the West and the East decided not to play in the playpen together, which that's fine. But what's largely happening across the world, especially here in the West, is that we're finding that we don't have all the answers and we don't know everything. And as a Jesus follower, I find that incredibly refreshing. To not know everything and to be in the mystery of God and the wonder that He crafted the human body and the connection of all of us and being one, every joint, ligament, and supply, we are together. We are one. And so He's bringing it back to the body of Christ, to the bride, to the importance of the sacredness of the human body. I have a connection with Jesus that is vital energy to me. The Holy Spirit, the triuneness of God is in me. And I, in my relationship to Him, have followed His voice and the voice of the Spirit to go where I was brought up to not go. And that is to explore the reality that everything is sacred. And I don't care if you call it a chakra or an energy center. I have felt, since the time I was a child, I have felt energy. And I'm an energy being. And I am also an empathic human. And to be an empath in this world means that I'm feeling every vibration and every form of a person's emotional state, and then for a long time tried to take responsibility for it. And so part of my own healing journey and learning about the reality of energy is learning about me and learning about and healing some of my own patterns and ways I was relating to God, to myself, and to other people. And this may be new to a lot of people, as it was new to me. And I'm not afraid, because Jesus, when they accused Him of doing some sort of witchcraft or, called Him, the son of Satan, Beelzebub, He said, "Can Beelzebub drive out Beelzebub?" What intention would that have, for darkness to be able to drive out darkness? No. So I have had to come out of really, I guess it would be fear of judgment, fear of man, fear of Christian subculture that has certain definitions and has very eloquently put God in certain boxes. It has built doctrines off of things such as one verse. And I just am not willing to sacrifice myself over falling on swords that I don't believe are necessary for me to even have around me. And so as, yes, somebody who flows and is filled and encompassed by the Holy Spirit every day, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of saying that they might have actually been right about some things called chakras? Yeah. Is there ancient wisdom that tells me that people in the East are healthier than we are? And there's something that they're imbibing that I wasn't taught? And am I willing to look at that? Yeah. Am I willing to say, I don't know everything? Yeah, I am. And it's incredibly freeing to be in the mystery of the Holy Spirit and in co-facilitating a healing experience for whomever is on the table, for them to find God within them. And in the mystery of, how did my body know that?
Well, how y'all doing? Take a deep breath. We're totally cool with you not being comfortable with this content, and it's okay with us if you don't agree with some of what you're hearing. It's totally okay. We're not presenting all these things because we think that everything's perfect about everything that we've been presenting. We're just providing content to you so that you know what is available, what are the different tools that bring healing to people. So we're okay with that. Please don't send us hate mail. We're okay if you disagree, it's okay. But we've seen benefit and heard testimony to this, and we know the character of this woman that we've interviewed, and we love her very much.
I regularly get sessions with her, and I'm not, that's not a secret. That's not something I'm ashamed of. This is God. This is just another way that God heals. And I'm not trying to convince anyone. I just share my testimony of how God has set me free on even much deeper levels than experienced before, because it touches body stuff. And,
yeah, this is a beautiful picture of this whole concept that we started in the very beginning of our podcast last year, that it's not one size fits all. And it is that different tracks of healing might be better suited to different personality types, or maybe for specific seasons. We need all of this. We need it all. There's not a hierarchy here. There's not a competition here. But God is using all of these tools. And I know for you've been trained in all these different models, and you've experienced these different models. You've experienced the kinesiology with Becca, and it has been, where you go at a particular season, what you need at that time, or what you need at this time, or a combination of these things. It's like, y'all, God is so much bigger. And I love how Becca was saying, it's like, I'm okay with the mystery. It's okay if we don't have it all figured out. It's okay if it doesn't all make sense. God is so much bigger than we can imagine. Hey, so we got part 2 coming up next week. Please make sure you're subscribed. We'd love to hear some feedback, ratings and reviews over at Apple Podcasts.
Share with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the word out, because some of you might be really excited about this, and that's awesome.
For more information about Becca, you can find actually Just Be Wellness, but also on our website, face-to-faceministries.org.
Yeah, it's
website.
called Guest Resources, and it's under the Media tab. It's all of our guests, the resources for all of our guests. We have links to all of those. So by all means, get some more information on that. And we're excited to bring part 2 next week. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye.